Hurricane Ian slammed Florida with a force that will go down in the history books. Rebuilding for now is unimaginable.
It's going to take a lot of time, not weeks or months. It's going to take years.
Climate change is making hurricanes stronger. Storms are fueled by the temperature of the waters across which they form, and the ocean sucks up almost all the extra heat humans are producing. Sea level rise also means waves are reaching further inland, leaving homes barely recognizable.
There is wind damage, there's no question, but I've toured up and down the state, and I would say the flood far exceeds the wind damage in terms of what I'm seeing.
The question for many is not only whether they'll get any money to rebuild, but if they can afford home insurance after this.
We've got to have people understand that where they live and work, as climate changes the risk profile of where those physical properties are. And if you built a house 50 years ago that was right on the beach, the risk that it was exposed to then and the risk it's exposed to now based on climate change is pretty considerably different.
Despite the growing risks, people have been flocking to the coast. In the past 10 years, Florida's population grew at double the U.S.'s national average.
I think this will just accelerate a trend that we've been seeing, especially in insurance markets in the last few years. We've seen insurers dropping their policies, dropping their coverage, saying we just don't want to play ball in Florida anymore. We've seen reinsurers sharply increasing their prices for backing these insurance policies, and I think the issue now becomes how will the state step in?
Already, insurance across the U.S. doesn't cover flood damage. It's just too expensive. So the U.S. government sells flood protection instead. But it's been losing money every year for the past 5 years. The federal flood program has racked up $20 billion of debt since 2017 from flood coverage alone. And Hurricane Ian is predicted to add another $10 billion in losses.
This is a crisis that we've already been sleepwalking towards, which is the increasing unaffordability or unavailability of insurance in highly climate-exposed areas. And Hurricane Ian, I believe, will be a tipping point.
For many, now the question becomes whether it's even worth it to rebuild a life there. In the likely scenario, insurance skyrockets after this. Some fear only the ultra-rich will be able to afford living on the coast in the future. One thing is for sure, this disaster will force the state and the whole country to rethink how communities are built and financed. Gabrielle Fahmy, CNA, New York.